The time has come where I need to talk about my bird. For the first year of her life, everything was great. She became a serious biter. I want a treat. This is what I do for treats. Why aren't you giving me a treat? When they are kept in the cage for so much of their life, they become very cage aggressive. The behavioral problems that arise are huge. It was the most traumatizing experience. So in terms of her biting because of her past, nothing has changed, obviously. Not yet anyway. But in terms of her noise level, we have had some improvements there at least. Like I said, the first month here was a complete nightmare. She was so loud. She thought that she would get food or treats or reactions or just like major attention. You know, she wanted that reaction that she was so used to getting for being loud that it just multiplied, because she went from a home that would listen to her and kind of give in to her squawks, and she came into a home with someone who didn't. That only made things like 10 times worse in the first month, and I even cried several times in that process because I just could not listen to it anymore. But my goodness, did things change. About 4 to 5 months into her being here, she just started to quiet down some more, and she would do her normal bird calls in the morning, normal calls in the evening. She now talks and sings and chirps and makes kissy noises.
What are you doing? Really? Ooh, bird yoga. Bird yoga. What are you doing? What?
She does still do the demanding squawk every now and then, but it's normally when she doesn't like something that's in the room. If there's a guest over, she does it when I'm talking on the phone. She does it if I have the blinds open so she can actually see outside. Like, she just does not want to see outside. She's just loud. She's gonna be loud. But it has changed from this absolutely horrendous, like soul-shaking squawk that she does all day, every day, to now occasionally I know the reason why. And then right now, I mean, it's approaching springtime, so she's a little hormonal, so she's doing it a little bit more often now, but it's still not at all to the same level that it was, and I am forever grateful for that. And all I did was just ignore it. You know, stick in some headphones so that you can't hear the full projection of the noise that's coming from your bird, and just sit there. Just take it. Just listen. Don't react. Don't reward. And eventually it stops. And when she is doing something that I like, when she is talking or chirping or singing, I give her treats. So she's associated that as being a positive behavior. She gets treats for it. She knows that I like it. So she continues to do that and does a lot less of the negative behavior. Now, this is where I get a little bit emotional, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance if I do end up emotional, because I just can't help myself. This has been one of the hardest things I think I've ever gone through in my life. And I think that it will probably continue to be one of the hardest things that I'll ever go through. There have been so many moments where I just felt done. I felt like I just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm gonna be honest, I have considered rehoming her. There have been several moments where I say to myself, This is a lot. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to help her. I don't think that I'm fit for her. She clearly hasn't chosen me to be her flock, so what is even the point? And because I want this to work out so badly and I haven't seen very much progress, I've gotten mentally upset and depressed over this situation, and I've thought to myself, why am I keeping something that makes me so upset or even depressed? Why even bother to keep something if it's not bringing me joy every day? And when I would have those moments of really thinking of rehoming her, and not just to anyone, like I was researching different rescues and shelters that I could take her to that specialized in parrots, especially parrots with a bad past. I would have taken her somewhere that's reputable and not just anyone. But I swear to you guys, the instant that I thought I could make that decision, I immediately let it go, because there's not anything in my heart that says that's a good idea. There's not anything that makes me believe she deserves that. I cannot give up on her. I don't think she deserves to have more than 2 homes in her life. I've heard so many stories of birds who have 7 or 8 different homes because the people just can't handle them or don't know what to do, or like don't have the desire to do it. And it breaks my heart because it's not about you. It's about your bird. Like, yes, you have to look out for you first. You have to make sure that you're okay and that you're happy, but think about the animal. Think about how that would make them feel. And so many people don't believe that animals have the ability to feel emotions. Yes, they absolutely do. So when I would think to myself how upset Sydney was in her old home and how upset she's been in this home, how would she feel in a completely separate home again? How would that make her better off if she were just shuffled from place to place? What if she ended up being in the hands of someone who had even less of an idea of what they're doing than I do? And what if they ended up being worse to her than the situation that she was already in before? It's just the kind of things that I cannot process it. I can't talk about it very well. I can't make that choice. So I have to be honest with you in saying that, yeah, I've considered rehoming my bird, but no, I will not. And the only way that my mind will ever be changed on that is if it is physically impossible for me to care for her any longer. And probably the biggest reason why I've had such a hard time with this so far in these 11 months is because I've been endlessly researching and watching videos and reading on how to train parrots and what to do. How do I make my bird like me? Why does my bird hate me so much? You know, and I'm gonna tell you, different training techniques that I've seen in certain videos or read in certain articles, they don't work for everyone. And that's one of the things that is not talked about often enough. Because when I started doing this research and I was looking at different things that I could do, nobody ever talks about the fact that you probably should have a little bit of an established relationship with your bird first. You probably need to have a little bit of trust there. It basically just goes into why your bird is acting that way, and here's how to fix it. But so many things make it seem like it is just an easy miracle task where they just pick it up right there. You no longer have a biter. You have a bird that steps up. And I get so frustrated, and I'm gonna get real passionate about this because nobody talks about this, but so many people will say, you can't train your bird around their cage. You have to move them to a neutral location, and it's best if you use a T-stand to train them on. Okay? How on earth can you move a bird from their cage to a neutral location when you cannot touch them? I cannot touch Sydney. Sydney is terrified of perches, other than the ones that are already attached in her cage, and those took her a while to walk on as well. She's terrified of dowel perches. She's terrified of target sticks. She's terrified of the clicker. She's terrified of my hands. Like, how do I get her to move to a different location to even do a training session if I cannot get her there? That has been the most frustrating thing that I have dealt with thus far, and not enough people talk about it. So when you are researching training techniques, that's great. I'm so glad you're doing research, but you have also got to research how to even build trust in the first place. You need to research how to approach your bird, how to read your bird's body language, how to walk into the room and not have your bird look at you like, what are you here for? What are you doing? Because that is exactly what Sydney does sometimes. There are still moments where she's like, I don't really want you in here. Can you leave? But then there's other days where she wants me in there so bad. And that is something that I didn't think would happen for a long time, okay? Sydney has not chosen me. I already know this. I can feel it. She does not think that I am her flock member, okay? But I think we can get there. Because she hasn't chosen me as a flock member, I've also considered getting another bird as a companion for her. And I did a lot of research on this, and I've spoken to a dear friend about this, and basically, I love birds. I've always loved birds, and I wanted a bird so badly. And when we adopted Sydney, we had been talking about getting a bird in the first place. We knew that it was something that we wanted here in the house, and it just so happened that I had a friend who needed to rehome their bird, and here she is. And I don't regret it fully. I mean, obviously I've had my moments where I'm like, I can't do this anymore, but for the most part, and I mean like 98% of that, I don't regret it. But the reason I've thought about getting another bird is because I'm so afraid of never having the true bird experience with Sydney. And that means being able to just go up to them and say, step up, or scratching their little head, or giving them kisses, or teaching them how to dance, or having them on my shoulder without them attacking my face. I want that experience and that bond and that companionship so bad. And I just have so much fear in my heart that that'll never happen with Sydney. So I've contemplated getting another bird that is also well socialized with humans, so that I can actually have this experience with a bird, and that this bird can also show Sydney like, hey, this human's cool. Like, you don't have to be scared of her. You don't have to bite her. She's chill. But I'm now not gonna do that, at least not for a long while, and I'll go into that in just a moment. So to sum it up, I mean, I've been talking forever. It's not really summed up anything, but to sum this up, I've been trying so many different things with Sydney that have not worked, and 11 months later, I finally decided that it was the best decision to reach out to an animal behaviorist, specifically someone who knows birds, and get their take on why Sydney is the way that she is and what can be done.